So we have talked about some of the guidelines for critical thinking, but it's important to choose some type of catalyst activity that will engage the students and then write some clear objectives that you have in mind that you want the students to uh, try to reach. And actually, having the students respond is a very clear objective. Having the students ask questions, be able to go from the literal questioning to the more a higher level of questioning in Bloom's taxonomy to the affective domain. That's really important that students go from the literal to the inferential, and encouraging students to formulate their own positions, actually giving them some activities in class that progress from kind of guided questioning to independent critical thinking, uh, trying to integrate their language uh, by using English and uh, and combining that with critical thinking skills is really the whole purpose of the language experience approach. Sometimes I think of education in two time periods, pre-September 11th, 2001 and post-September 11th, 2001. And I think it's important for us as instructors to realize that we cannot really escape the political reality of what happened on September the 11th, uh, nor can we actually um, critically examine this event without um, talking truthfully about what happened and trying to determine uh, why this happened. So we do have some curriculum choices to make when it comes to student inquiry. I think that adult illiteracy is probably most effective when the student himself is centered on themes that directly impact their lives. But, you know, September 11th impacted everyone's life, and so critical literacy education should include questions that are not just superficial explanations for some type of complex problem, but some critical analysis that has to do with that problem. So critical literacy should examine root causes of global crisis, whether it be global warming or food shortage and famine or the HIV epidemic, uh, and actually scrutinizes the structural injustices and the systematic abuses of power that people experience. So after 9/11, I think a lot of instructors turned a page in the way that they were going to approach the ESL community and in the instructional process. And I started thinking in terms of, well, what is the real purpose of adult literacy? And how does that purpose fit into EL civics and education? And I started reading materials about the 9/11 catastrophe and how it impacted education. And I realized that a lot of people are really uh, in the same quandary as to, okay, what should we do now? How should we provide the basic skills for the students at the same time critically engage them with the world? And Paulo Freire is probably the first educator that decided that it was important to introduce critical thinking skills at a level that was at the illiterate level with the students that he had in Brazil. The people that he was working with were illiterate and were living in a favela on dirt floors, and they didn't know how to read or how to change their environment without um, having the skills that they needed to have a voice. So providing the students with a voice is really what um, the problem posing process is about, and Paulo Freire is probably the chief advocate of that. So again, the fundamental questions are really what does it mean to promote critical thinking in the classroom, and can that be taught? And I really believe that critical thinking can be taught all of us should be examining our assumptions and biases. Even as instructors, we should be a part of that process. I don't know if everyone thinks in terms of instructional methodology being a part of the curricular content, but it certainly should be. And the participatory posing curriculum uh, is really not separated from the process of helping students gain access and voice in um, areas that they may have difficulty in decoding. This is a bibliography of Paulo Freire's work, probably the most seminal part of his work. Pedagogy of the Oppressed was the first book that I came across in graduate school. And even though I had spent some time in Brazil and actually lived in the same town that he was born, I didn't know anything about Paulo Freire until I went to the University of Washington and started studying English as a second language. So this will be very interesting for those of you who have not read Freire to pick up on some of his concepts and ideas. Two other people that I came across who were not contemporaries with Freire but are presently writing are Elsa Alabak and Nina Wallenstein. And these two ladies have put out a lot of materials that build upon the Freirean approach to critical thinking. Once a week in the ESL classroom, I'll have a day where we spend about half an hour to 45 minutes on important people. And we always ask questions using the interrogatives to determine who are these important people and why are they important? What countries do they come from? And what do they have in common? For example, we have some students from India who may be able to enlighten us as to who Mahatma Gandhi was, and they would be able to help us understand what he did that changed history in India and why his methods were successful and why his ideas were actually revolutionary. And if the students don't know about Gandhi, then the picture becomes a source for interrogatives where they ask questions that can be answered by doing research.